Hey, everybody. If you see this guy's name is Dave Anderson. He ran for Congress in the last primary in last spring in 2016 in Virginia. And his slogan was, he was running in the Democratic primary for Congress, and his slogan was literally, "I'm the least liberal of all the candidates." Oh. That was his slogan. He was saying he's the least liberal.
Oh, no kidding.
Mm-hmm. And because he knew his district. He knows those people in Virginia, especially the Democratic voters, and what they want. And that's why he got 1.2% of the vote. And guess who won that race? The most progressive candidate in the race won that race. The guy who was the most liberal. So the guy who was the least liberal got 1.2% of the vote. And now he writes this article for The Hill: Why the Radical Center Must Be the Future of American Politics.
The radical center. Isn't that an oxymoron?
That is what's called an oxymoron. It is like, well, when I was a kid, they used to always say military intelligence. That's an oxymoron.
Mm-hmm.
Now everybody goes, how can you not believe CIA and FBI? That's what everyone says now.
I'm a fringe moderate.
I can only remember jumbo shrimp. That's the only thing I can remember.
Oh, jumbo shrimp. There you go.
You know, and are they trying to tell me in this headline with a picture of Tom Perez that he's ever radical?
He's a radical centrist. So listen to this stupid article. It goes on. He talks about France and what just happened in France. And so Macron is the neoliberal. And they beat the right-winger, the fascist, right?
Okay, and you know how I feel about the term neoliberal.
Right. So the neoliberal, which is just the corporatist. So Macron's corporatist victory in France signals a victory for those independent-minded politicians and citizens who wish to transcend the polarized politics of the established liberals and establishment conservatives in the name of a new center. This is funny writing. Not a moderate center associated with the United States and the United Kingdom's third way politics, but what has been described as Macron's radical center point of view. I'm going to guess that radical center still has at its core screwing over workers. I'm going to guess it doesn't go that there's no frickin' $15 minimum wage or strong card check for unions. Is there a union thing? Those in the radical center, he just keeps saying it. And there are American thinkers who have used this phrase. So that he's I'm not a dummy because I keep saying this. There are smarty pants people who've said this.
I didn't make this shit up.
He doesn't name them. He just says there are American thinkers. I think I've heard George Zimmerman say this. Is he a thinker? I don't know. Chuck Todd, is he a thinker?
I bet they all talked to Rod Wheeler.
I bet you they did talk to Rod Wheeler, the Fox News investigator. Those in the radical center, and there are American thinkers who have used this phrase, shy away from adopting moderate policies which represent a compromise between left and right. So he's saying the radical center shy away from adopting moderate policies which represent a compromise. So he's saying no compromise, but still be in the center. Again, this guy is one oxymoron after another, right?
Tricky.
The radical center aims to be more ambitious than the moderate center.
What the fuck?
I'll meet you in the middle, but we're not going to do anything once we get there.
Which
no
middle?
agreement's going to happen.
Which middle are you talking about? The middle or the center middle?
I'm talking about the radical middle, Steph. I'm talking about, because I don't know what any of this shit means in this article.
Indeed, the radical center does not regard itself as a centrist position at all. What is going on? These people, what is the pretzel? Why do you want to bend yourself into a pretzel? Just say what you are, man.
Corporate tool.
You're corporatist. Just say what you are. The radical center does not regard itself as a centrist position at all. You just said you're in the center. We're not centrist. Where are you? In the center. Are you a centrist? No. Where are you? We're radically in the center. All right, that doesn't mean anything. That's not a thing. It doesn't really. I'm not on the left. I'm on the radical left. So you're not left? No. That doesn't make. It doesn't really sit in between left and right on the old Congress of Vienna left to right half circle. Shut up already. The radical center transcends left and right, but takes important elements of both sides. This is awesome. And although millions of Americans demonstrated an appetite for a socialist candidate for president in 2016, namely Senator Bernie Sanders, and by the way, he's still the most popular politician in the history of America, we are not ready for a candidate that is radical in any sense of the term. So he's saying that he's radical, but he's saying we're not ready for a radical guy if it's different than his radicalness. So something different than me we're not ready for, but my radical we're ready because it's mine. Because it's not radical.
It's radically agreeable.
It's radical.
But then not agreeable at the same time.
We are not ready for a candidate that is What is your evidence that we're not ready for that candidate? Because Bernie Sanders and his positions are way more popular than your positions and anybody who you think of as simpatico politically.
You know, Jimmy, I think when he says we, I think he's using the royal we.
Yeah, he is. He's saying we, meaning the country. The point of view speaks to millions of Americans. Meaning his. This is what he thinks. This point of view speaks to millions of Americans, many of whom vote Republican and Democrat today, who do not identify with the far right of the Republican Party or the far left of the Democratic Party.
And what would that be? Far left of the Democratic Party.
They currently sit in the far left of the Democratic Party today used to be a centrist 20 years ago. That's how far the country has shifted to the right. Because when the Democrats propose right-wing legislation, the right-wingers now have to move further right to distance themselves from you. So when Barack Obama proposes Romney Care, they have to go, fuck, now we can't be for Romney Care because it's your thing. So then they go further right. That's how dumb Barack Obama was. He radicalized the right even more than they needed to be. They currently sit in the middle, and many are independents. So this is just, again, he's not making zero sense, this guy, right?
Well, I don't know. I bet if all of us had like 3 edibles, we would think this was the best article ever written for like a good 20 minutes.
I definitely need a hit of acid in a math book to figure out this guy's. They are waiting. This is what he thinks. So this is what he says. They are waiting for someone to articulate the values and policies of the radical center. He means like the electorate is waiting, which admittedly leans more towards the Democrats than the Republicans. It is time to articulate those values and
There we go.
and policies, but it is necessary to drop the phrase radical center and find a new phrase.
Remember that phrase I just made up a couple paragraphs ago? Fuck it. We're moving on already. This is the worst article ever.
We already got to get rid of that word.
I changed my mind.
So he doesn't ever say what those values and policies are. They never say it, except earlier in the interview, he talks about what he ran on and lost. And this is the thing he said he ran on. This is the only policy he even ever mentions. He doesn't say, well, Bernie Sanders too radical. What was too radical about Bernie Sanders? They don't say. He doesn't say, single payer. No, everybody's for it. Free college. No, everybody's for it. Ending the wars. No, everybody's for it. A living wage. No, everybody's for it. What was Bernie Sanders? What was too radical about him? They'll never say. And he'll never say what his fucking policies are. This is the only policy he mentions in the whole thing is this thing. He says that he ran on this when he ran. 6 months of paid parental leave plus 3 years of child support at $10,000 a year, or 6 months of paid parental leave, plus 3 years of tax credit for a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad. So he's going to give you $10,000 over 3 years if you have a kid. This is his idea, to help young moms and dads and people who have kids, which I think is a great idea. So, and that includes families with 2 moms or 2 dads. So that's his radical. That's the only policy thing, which, by the way, that seems pretty cool. I'm pretty cool with that.
Yeah, I'm totally cool with that, too.
I'm pretty cool with that, too. That doesn't seem centrist. That seems left. That's not a centrist position, FYI. That's not, the center thinks this?
The radical center does, bro. Have you seen, they're playing Saturday night?
I don't understand.
I don't either. That is a cool idea, though.
But that's a good idea. I'm for that idea. That doesn't sound like radical centering. That sounds like something Bernie Sanders would say, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so his advice again: we need to move to the center. Because Hillary Clinton just wasn't center enough for this guy. And he ran as a centrist, got 1.2% of the vote, got his ass handed to him by a fucking progressive. But he knows what the country, this guy, who would know better than a guy who lost the primary and got 1.2% of the vote? All right, so I just wanted to do that. Moving to the center is losing. Don't be stupid. People are hurting. That's why they elected Trump in the first place, you fucking knucklehead.
And if this policy is indicative of what you're all about, dude, guess what? You're to the left. Why not embrace it, and maybe you'll do better next time?
Yeah, embrace it. Embrace actually helping people. You don't have to put the brakes on helping people at the behest of corporations. You could go ahead and corporations are doing great. Corporations are making record profits. Wall Street's at record profits. NASDAQ's at records high. It's okay. You can help people and workers. The next live Jimmy Dore show in Burbank, California is May 22nd. May 22nd, that's a Monday night, live in Burbank, California. Special guests, a great time. Get your tickets right there.